Hey there, it's Derek here from Pacific Coast Auto in Japan. We're looking at a 1998 Lancer Evolution 5. This one here, one of the first ones that's going to be able to go to the USA under the 25-year rule. That has a 4G63 2-liter 4-cylinder turbo engine, puts out 280 horsepower. This one was bought from auction here in Japan for export over to the USA. And we're going to check out the condition of it and compare it to the auction inspection sheet and then ship it over there. Now, they made these from 1998 January, so this is going to arrive 1 month after the very first cars into the USA. I believe, actually, it might actually be a January. I don't have a computer here to check. Overall, I'm pretty happy with the condition of it. It is a very nice Evo 5. Unfortunately, there are a lot of bad condition Evo 5s because, you know, they are old cars and they tend to rust. This one here almost has no rust issues, which is really good. It does have a few things, though. I will mention them. First off, before I turn the engine off, this mirror, you can hear it going, it's trying to close, but it can't. So something inside the mirror is gone. It also doesn't click into place properly. So it's a little bit movable. Also, I'm not sure if you could hear it, but the engine's misfiring. Have a listen. The car is currently a 3-cylinder instead of a 4-cylinder. Now, I've seen a ton of cars. Of course, we are at several thousand cars we've exported now. And from what I've seen, when it comes to a misfiring car, especially one that wasn't mentioned on the auction inspection sheet, like this one, it tends to often be something simple. Now, the Lancer Evolutions have weak coil packs. Unfortunately, a lot of people don't realize that that is an item that wears out over time, just like a spark plug, and needs to be replaced eventually. And they tend to last about 20 years or so, 20, 25, sometimes a little bit more than that. But they get a little bit weaker and weaker and weaker before they outright die. So you get this is the case, especially with Lancers and Nissan Skyline GTRs. Both of them, you get a good boost in engine running ability when you replace those coil packs. And so if I were to guess, I would say replace that. It's fairly inexpensive. You can usually get each pack for about $60 or so, or $50. They're right underneath here. Change those, change the spark plugs. It should fix the problem. And you should have a really nice Evo after that. Okay, so what else is there to say? You've got a 3-point strut tower brace. It's kind of cool to have it braced against the firewall there. Chain suspension with adjustable upper mounts to give you more camber, if that's what you want. The engine itself looks like it's in original condition. The oil looks like it should be replaced. The coolant looks like it's still okay. And you have an aftermarket diversion plate here that allows more of your air to go through the radiator, and in this case, the original front mount intercooler, instead of up above and out of the way. You also have this, which I'm not sure if it's because of this. Actually, I'm pretty sure it's not because of this, because this, I think, is nonsense, but it's a rust prevention device that apparently runs electricity through your chassis or something, I don't know, to prevent it from rusting. I think it's BS, but the car is unrusty, or non-rusty, whatever you want to call it, and it has that, so if it did anything, that's great. It has a little bit of peeling on the cover there. Of course, this is all original aluminum hood and vent there. And oh my gosh, Evo 5s. The Evo 5 and the DC2 are the first cars in this line of work that completely astonished me. When we were just starting, we were exporting more of them than we are now, which is a little bit funny. But they both got really expensive. They used to be really cheap. An Evo 5, I don't even know if I want to say it, but Evo 5s, you could get them like a bad condition one for $2,000, a good condition one for $5,000. And what good value for money they used to be at that price. They are still amazing cars, one of the best 90s cars, and in my opinion, drive better than the Imprezas. I'm not sure if I would want one over an Impreza, probably yes, but just because they drive better than the Imprezas and are a little bit faster doesn't necessarily mean that's the one that I would want. Anyways, back to the report here. It's a 1998 Lancer Evolution GSR Evolution 5. The GSR is kind of the it's like the upmarket version. There's the GSR, and then there's the RS. And the RS was the racing version, and the GSR was the one with the power windows and all of that. Okay. Also, much more of the GSRs, and they have a lower value than the RS, which were the rare ones. Okay, auction grade R because it's been in an accident. More on that in a second. Interior grade B with 87,376 kilometers. 5-speed manual, AC, power steering, power windows, airbag, and that is authentic mileage on this one. Sales points are purchased from user. Tain adjustable suspension, so you can lower or raise it if you want. HID headlight conversion. Recaro seats, those are original. Momo steering wheel, again, that's original. Aftermarket 18-inch wheels. They are Wed Sports wheels, which is a well-known Japanese brand. I'm not in love with the design of these, but wheels are completely up to you, what you like. The black wheels on the white car is nice, but they don't stand out as much as, you know, something that's white wheel, silver wheel, whatever. Stylistically, choose what you want. Okay, and rear wing, again, that is an original rear wing on this one. The report here says a rear accident has been repaired, and the rear panel has been replaced and the floor dented. So let me just show you that. The rear panel is the metal that goes underneath the rear bumper. So when it gets replaced, you have to check the rear bumper's fitment to make sure it fits nicely to everything else. The dent in the rear floor means that that area had been bent and then bent back into place. Now if you look at it, it doesn't look that bad. You got a little bit of surface rust in here, but it's much less than 90% of these Evo 5s that I see. Okay. That is stock exhaust. Looks like the Tain suspension is actually pretty new. It's not even like chipping paint anywhere. Okay, and then in terms of lining up of the rear, it's very good on both sides next to the fenders. You have a little bit more of a gap here, maybe less than 1 millimeter more of a gap. And honestly, I'm not sure anyone would ever notice that. And then you get a little bit of the trunk coming out past here. You also have a series of dents here. There are 2 of them, and those would have happened in the accident, but weren't deemed necessary to repair that. So have a look at those now. Okay, and on both sides the trunk is sticking out just a bit. Now you never get a car that has completely flush lines from, actually that's dented a bit as well. Complete flush lines even from the factory, and so it's not the biggest deal. People normally don't notice that. And if you have an Evo 5 in the States, everyone's like, wow, an Evo 5, and no one's like, let me see if the trunk is 1 millimeter within alignment. At least that's my opinion. Of course, if you want one that hasn't been in an accident, don't buy an R grade, but here in Japan, R grade doesn't scare me very much at all, because almost every car that gets in an accident that's quite severe just turns into scrap. Nowadays, if you get an Evo that's in an accident, it's quite hard to repair it because there just isn't a lot of accident repair parts that are available anymore. So unless you want to sacrifice another Evo to grab some parts from it, you have to scrap it and turn it into a parts car. Anyway, let's see. So the right folding mirror doesn't work, as we saw. Steering wheel is peeling. Yes, it is. It's not the worst, but it's not the best. I'd say about a 5 out of 10. Okay, the seat wear, it's true. Interior is slightly dirty and scratched. It's actually pretty clean in my opinion. Wheels scratched. Yeah, I would consider them about 4 out of 10 condition, but no dents or anything. And door trim has a liner put on and is peeling off in places. Okay, let me show you about this, because this is kind of an Evo thing, whether it be an Evo 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I don't recall if 7 or 8 have this problem, 7 or 8 or 9. The fabric here is basically just a sheet of fabric that's glued on, and it tends to peel. Now this fabric isn't the original fabric. You can only barely tell with things like this, because they cut out this section here. You can see it wasn't cut out like OEM style cut. And unfortunately, the original stuff just peels off, and they replaced it with a very similar looking and feeling fabric. Now this fabric here is like a, this is synthetic. It's like polyester. It's supposed to be the same fabric as the seats here, which is also a synthetic, but just a different, I don't know, different blend, I guess you could call it. Oh, and while I'm here, let's have a quick look at the seats, because those are the OEM Recaro seats. The RS version doesn't come with these higher bolstered Recaro seats, which is kind of funny to think that that's the expensive one, because it doesn't have the big Brembo brakes either, or any of the other kind of like sales points. There you can see the large 4-piston caliper brakes, which from the factory were red, but they turned pink over time. Okay, and and the back seats, I'm just going to show you this now. The fabric is completely dangling, so that needs to be reapplied. It's not the hardest thing in the world. It's just, cut fabric and then spray glue and put it on. Get some good quality spray glue so it doesn't come off after a while. Body here, front bumper has clear coat peeling, large scratches, repainted section here and here. Basically the whole side here has been repainted. Both doors have been replaced, but both doors open and close properly, and the paint matches quite well, so that was a win. If you do see something like this on the sheet, you're probably going to have a little bit of doors not fitting properly or the paint not matching properly. This one here is a win that everything looks good there. It also says S on the roof, which is rust, and then replaced trunk and replaced back panel. I think the trunk actually wasn't replaced, seeing that dent on there. I think that they were wrong about that. I think it just has marks from being removed at one point when they were doing the repair. I'll show you the rust on the roof. It's actually far less than I thought. This is a common thing with the Evos, is to get rust on the roof, unfortunately. But your two areas of rust are right here. And I would say my fingernails are average fingernail size. And right here. That's all your rust. That's much less than your average S1. Now, there is a little bit, let me just zoom in. A little bit of squiggles there, so it's a little bit bigger than just that dot, but still, I think you can be really happy with that. It's not even something you really need to repair. Just, grind that down and touch up the paint, and you should be good. I've heard some people say that the spot welds inside here can tend to rust. Here's one. Can you see that? It might be an issue. I've never really seen it get any worse than just the surface stuff on the spot weld. So I wouldn't really call that something that commonly happens, but it might be something to look out for. Okay, did I take you once around? I don't think that I have, so let's do that now. The Evo 5. Yeah, the DC2 is a better driver's car, but it is slower. And so if you want something that is going to be quick, this car feels very quick. Nowadays, 280 horsepower doesn't sound that big, but it is a fairly lightweight car. I think it's somewhere in the 1,300 kilogram range, and four-wheel drive. And nowadays I guess styling is more why you would buy one of these than outright speed, but if you do want to make it faster, there is a lot of information on this engine and how to make it faster. It is roughly, it's a better version of the same engine that you got in the what is it called, the DSM cars? I don't know, the Chrysler and Mitsubishi cars, like the Eagle Talon and the Mitsubishi Eclipse. And known to be something that makes a lot of good power, if that's what you want. I feel like stock, this is certainly enough power for a street car for me. The driving dynamics also, it feels really great when you drive it. It's hard to explain why, and so I'm not going to try, but it really left an impression on me. Okay, condition-wise, let's have a look at some of the other details. We're already 13 minutes into this video, so let's go. So they said A3 on the front bumper and peeling clear coat. So there's some flex cracks here on the front lip. Scratch here that's been touched up with some touch-up paint. That's an oil cooler inside there, by the way. And then some more bottom-out damage there with some flex cracks on the lip. The peeling clear coat, right, like I'll draw with my finger where the peel is. Right there. And right here. Okay, the iconic fog lights in the bumper, rally inspired. Of course, yes, these were cars that were successful in rallying, and so that adds to the prominence. Some damage here, here, and here. Okay, wheels, some scrape. They also have a weird little dot there. Yes, it's been repainted, but it's weird to get a dot in only one spot. Usually a repainted section would have something like this, where you see a series of dots. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, because it's like a surface that either wasn't prepped properly or got contaminated. The Evo 4, 5, and 6 all use the same platform. The 5 and 6 both have a blistered out fender front and rear. And I think most people agree that these are the most iconic of all of the Evos, are these 5 and 6. The difference between the 5 and the 6 is front bumper and rear wing. The rear wing is a 2-element, where here it's kind of a 1.5. And yes, that's adjustable here. And then this one here, like a wing plus spoiler combination. It's rally homologation, sort of. These wings were meant for the rally cars. So, and an aluminum, no, I think, is that aluminum? Aluminum wing? I'm not sure. I think maybe. Okay. It is in your face and good looking. I love the stout looks with the big wing and the stubby front bumper with the big fog lights in it. Makes a good sound. Good car. And then Evo 5 on the side here, instead of the integrated side skirt Evo that 1, 2, and 3 got. Okay. So, continuing around, it says Brembo right there. Evolution 5. I remember when I first heard about these was the Fast and the Furious had the Evo 7 in the second movie or something. And then Paul Walker kept calling it an Evo. And I remember for years and years I didn't want to call it an Evo because I thought that was so dumb sounding. This scratch here, you can't feel at all. So I don't know if it's a transferred paint instead of a scratch. And so you can probably polish it out. I will say, if it's a Mitsubishi, be careful because the paint tends to be fairly thin on Mitsubishis and you don't want to burn it out. So you can see some faded paint there. On the other side, there's some there and on this section here. Okay, to the interior. Okay, so the door cards, generally, aside from this fabric, they're pretty robust. There's really nothing to worry about. They don't scratch easily like Skyline ones do. The seats, these seats and the Evo 6 ones tend to wear out fairly quickly. Unfortunately, like the tweed type material here, and it's a different seat in the 6, but they tend to have similar type problems. These ones pill, and the one on the 6 peels. So you can see the pilling there. And then you have a little bit of sagginess there. Compared to your average Evo seat, these are very good because most of them tend to accumulate quite a bit of damage. This one's a fairly low mileage car at 85,000 kilometers, especially for 25 years old. Okay, steering wheel peeling, like the auction sheet said. It is damaged due to the sun. There's a little bit of roughness in here. And there's more up here. Okay, the white face gauges are quite nice. This one comes with what seems like a factory boost gauge here, or like a dealer option boost gauge. Okay. Everything is very economy car-like, so you got to make sure that you like economy cars if you buy an Evo. I guess the idea is the interior doesn't matter so much when you're having as much fun driving. So, to each their own about that. I very much enjoy driving these cars. I am not a big fan of the interiors. Okay, there's a headphone jack here. There's also not proper fitment with this dual DIN. Like it's in there solidly, but it needs like a little piece of trim here for this unit to fit into there if you wanted it to be perfect. Or you can replace it with something else that doesn't have an MD player because no one outside of Japan ever really cared about that as far as I know. At least not in Canada. I don't know, maybe in Europe the MD got popular, but here in Japan it was incredibly popular in the 90s. Shift knob's been replaced at some point. That's too nice. And no rips or anything in the boot here. Look at this, you can spray your intercooler with water. That allows you to pull some of the heat out of the intercooler so that you get a colder charge into your engine. Floor mats are relatively good. What is this? 4-bit microcomputer controlled count. Oh, a turbo timer. Okay. Airbag and airbag. Okay, lots of headroom for your helmet because you're definitely going to take this on a track. Oh yeah, these have AYC, which is torque vectoring. I think like Mitsubishi was the company that brought it to market first, I think. And so when you go around a corner, it gives you more torque at the wheels that are going to grip more. And so kind of a cool system. It is a maintenance item though, so you need to get your AYC system flushed, and you can't just replace the oil because most of the oil in the system is in the pump, so you have to do like a cycling thing for it. Missing the ashtray lid. And the seats in the back look like they haven't been sat in really, and you also get some fans. So you get professional baseball club since 1950, the Carp. Okay. And San Felice Hiroshima Football Club. We Fight Together 2014. So those are yours. That person likes baseball and soccer. We call it soccer here in Japan. I don't know why. It's like football in most of the world, but soccer in Japan. Okay, so that is that. Hope you enjoyed the walk around. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. Feel free to check out our website or send us an email if you want that as well. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching, and have a nice day.